Welcome back to our special coverage of the Republic Day, the 74th Republic Day that the entire country is celebrating this morning. All eyes on that Republic Day parade that will start at 10:30 a.m. But to really understand why this Republic Day is special for India, how our military power has evolved over the years, and how is it a Republic Day of many firsts, we have guests joining us on the broadcast. Commodore Uday Bhaskar, retired, who's the Director of Society and for Policy Studies, and who's also a defense expert. We also have Major Muhammad Ali Shah, who's a defense and strategic expert, joining us. Mr. Shah, if I can first start with you. It's the 74th Republic Day, and the parade every year displays our military power. How would you say the power has evolved over the last few years, and where do we stand compared to other major powers in the world today? Major Muhammad Ali Shah, that question to you.
Thank you very much for having me on your show, and I would like to wish you and the entire country through your channel Happy Republic Day. It's a matter of indeed great pride to celebrate our 74th Republic Day. How have we grown so far? I mean, it's a very, very interesting question. I think we have not only advanced in terms of technology. Today we will see on Rajpath, we will have only Atmanirbhar Bharat, Make in India, Swadeshi. The equipment would be all made in India. And India today is not just manufacturing for India itself. As our defense minister had said some time back, India would manufacture for the world. India would make for the world. So we are exporting equipment, defense equipment, to countries like Philippines and to other nations as well. So first, it would be we would be having all our Swadeshi, all our own equipment on Rajpath. Second, we would be having the VVIP row. The first column is given to the class 1 workers, in fact, to the laborers and to other guests who rightly deserve so. Because I feel people, not only in the armed forces, yes, we are serving the nation and people acknowledge us, yes, but even a municipality worker, for that matter, is serving the country. You are serving the country in a very fine way by doing responsible journalism through your esteemed channel. I think doctors, engineers, teachers, every single person in this country is a patriot, every single person, and everyone is doing their bit for the country. So then we will have that. Thirdly, it's the first parade ever on Kartavya Path. The name was Kingsway earlier in 1905. There's a very famous road in Britain. In fact, that's the Kingsway. It was given the name in 1905. In 1911, King George V came to India and he attended the Darbar in 1911. That time, the capital of the country was in Calcutta. So the decision was taken to shift the capital from Calcutta to Delhi. And the area chosen was the Raisina Hill, the Rajpath, that is the Kingsway at that time, and the President, the Rashtrapati Bhavan, the India Gate, Vijay Chowk, and further beyond, to get a panoramic view. That time, Dr. Luthian, who was a very famous architect, was given this task, and he designed it beautifully. In 1947, we only renamed it. We only translated, tarjuma kiya uska. From Rajpath, from Kingsway, it became Rajpath. But now in 2022, it was actually named Kartavya Path. It's going to be the first parade on Kartavya Path. And let me tell you one last thing, I'll conclude by saying, exactly 15 years back, 26 January 2008, I had the honor and the privilege of commanding the Assam Rifles marching contingent on the very majestic Kartavya Path, that time it was Rajpath, with 2 fractured legs, with 2 stress fractures in both my legs. But I did it with my troops, the support of my troops, the support of my contingent. We did it. And so how has the army, how has the defense forces progressed further? Well, it is not just the machine. It is also the man behind the machine. On 27th February 2019, the now group captain, that time Wing Commander Abhinandan Vartaman, who landed into Pakistan, he proved it when he said that all he could tell the Pakistanis was, I am not supposed to tell you that. And he stuck to the ethos of a soldier, which means we do not give out any input at the face of the enemy, no matter whatever the danger is lurking. So when you go home, tell them of us and say, for your tomorrow, we gave our today. One quote to all our brave hearts. Over 25,000 brave hearts have been martyred ever since the partition took place. We became independent, and their names are there in the war cemetery over there, in the war memorial over there. How can a man die better than facing fearful odds? For the ashes of his fathers and the temples of his gods. And lastly, I would conclude by reciting a Chetwood Credo, the oath we took in the army, which says, The safety, honor, welfare of your country come first, always and every time. The honor, welfare and comfort of the men you command comes next. Your own ease, comfort and safety comes last, always and every time. Jai Hind.
Well, we also have Commodore Uday Bhaskar with us. Sir, there are going to be many firsts this time around. And like, sir has mentioned that this is the first time that the Republic Day will be held at Kartavya Chowk, at the Kartavya Path. Now, among the many firsts, the 21-gun salute will be given with 105mm Indian field guns. It replaces a vintage 25-pounder gun, reflecting upon the growing Atmanirbharta in defense.
This is indeed a very, very special parade today. I think you have already highlighted the distinctive features of the parade this year and the fact that this is the first Republic Day for our Honorable President and her own remarks in which she has framed the relevance of the day, the sanctity of the Constitution, and the way in which I think India now is a vibrant republic. It can take satisfaction, I think, for many of the achievements that we are already aware of. But like any vibrant republic, I think when we look at the glass and we are aware that it is partially full and that it's also partially empty, I think today is also a day to reflect on the challenges before the Republic. And there is a lot of symbolism here. I think in your earlier remarks, you drew attention to Nari Shakti. And I think that's a very important element also of Prime Minister Modi's own advocacy as far as the development of India's demography is concerned. And I did notice that you drew attention to the fact that we would have Nari Shakti astride the camels. This is going to be a first. I mean, I recall the Republic Day parade like my younger colleague from many decades ago, from the late 70s to where we are now. And I think the quality of the parade and the kind of pageantry that we associate with it has also been refined and improved. And we'll see many aspects. And there are two elements here, if I could just draw attention to, which is the focus again on India's ability to pursue Atmanirbharta, particularly in the defense sector. I'm sure there'll be many tableaux today that would, in a way, reflect the kind of progress that we have made. And I think concurrently, we should also be cognizant that there are a number of areas in indigenization and India's ability to become a credible supplier that would also have to be acknowledged. So while we celebrate the mood today and the gallantry of all our citizens, whether they are in uniform or otherwise, I think this will be reflected in the parade, from the uniformed personnel who are being given awards to the children who are being acknowledged for their bravery. It's a wide spectrum. You know, every year, I think on Republic Day, it's a very infectious mood. Despite all the challenges, I mean, the last 2 years have been blighted because of COVID, the war in Ukraine, all kinds of challenges across the world. But today is a day to celebrate. But I think also as citizens, because, you know, the first part of the Constitution, we the people have accorded unto ourselves. So while we are, as I said, in a celebratory mood as far as the achievements are concerned, we also have to look at the challenges ahead. And that is what I think the address of the Honorable President had drawn attention to in a very, very elegant but insightful manner.
Right, and I think you put it very correctly there and really echoing the country's emotion right now that the celebratory mood is really infectious. So let's just get in a sense of the celebration from across the country right now. And the celebrations, as we've just noted, started in Tamil Nadu already, and my colleague Sam Daniel is joining us for more on that. Gentlemen, do stay on with us for more on the parade and more on the Republic Day. But first, let's get in a sense of the celebration in Tamil Nadu. And Sam, the governor has unfurled the national flag in Chennai, and it's also interesting that the governor and the chief minister are meeting face to face for the first time after that recent face-off. But take us through the celebrations really in Chennai.
That's right. The governor has unfurled the national flag, and as we speak now, Divya and Priyanshi, the parade is underway along the marina, displaying the color and the variety of projects by various departments of the Tamil Nadu government. and also by a few other departments from the union government. And politically, this is important this time because this comes after a recent face-off between the governor and the Tamil Nadu Assembly or the Tamil Nadu government after the governor, in a first of its kind, departed from the official speech given to him during his customary address in the Tamil Nadu Assembly, after which the Chief Minister moved a resolution to not record his tweaked version. And for the first time, they meet after that face-off. In fact, the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister had also written to the President asking her intervention to make sure the governor would abide by the decisions of the state cabinet. And in an interesting development, last night the governor had also dialed Chief Minister M.K. Stalin, inviting him for the at-home reception at Rajpath this evening. We understand that the cabinet would attend that after a boycott call given by the allies of the ruling DMK that they would not attend this. And for this reason, this time this parade and the celebrations are being watched rather closely. Also, politically, they raise questions like federalism, the sanctity of bills passed by elected governments in states, and the role of governor in these things, as the governor is accused of delaying assent to more than 21 bills. So all eyes will also be this evening at that at-home reception. Indications are that the ruling party would not boycott, but the opposition has clearly said the governor is not abiding by the constitution. He recently tried to suggest that the name of the state Tamil Nadu should be changed to Tamilagam, also citing 21 other bills and saying that that's the only way they can convey their disappointment to the governor in a democratic way.
Welcome back. As the country gears up to celebrate the 74th Republic Day with many firsts, we have with us Major Muhammad Ali Shah, Defence and Strategic Expert, as well as we do have with us joining us Commodore Uday Bhaskar, Director, Society for Policy Studies, as well as a defence expert, joining us this morning. Thank you for joining us. Let me talk about, we have this time around marching down the Kartavya Path for the very first time, the combined band and marching contingent of the Egyptian Armed Forces. The contingent will consist of 104 soldiers from Egypt, representing the main branches of the Egyptian Armed Forces. But this is not the first time we've had the other countries participating in the Republic Day. We had the French Army soldiers also participate earlier in 2018 as well. So, what does this really mean? I would like to take this to Major Ali Shah. When we have other people come in and participate during our Republic Day as well.
Thank you, Divya, for that wonderful question. Yes, in 2018, as you rightly brought out, we had the French contingent. They had marked proudly on the that time the Rajpath, at that time now the Kartavya Path, of course, and now we have the Egyptian contingent. Our relationship with Egypt has been very, very strong. In fact, just about a year back, we had INS Tabar. In fact, Komodo Saab would be able to throw, Komodo Bhaskar would be able to throw more light on that later on. We had INS Tabar, which had gone to Egypt for a joint exercise for a couple of days, and it only strengthened our ties with Egypt. In fact, when the head of state of Egypt is invited here as the chief guest, in President Nasser, long back, he and Jawaharlal Nehru had strengthened the ties of India and Egyptian relationship. Now, when we have foreign contingents march at the majestic Kartavya Path, it really speaks great volumes. And let me tell you, it looks very simple, it looks very easy, it looks very glamorous on television when you watch. But the parade it takes rigorous rehearsals, getting up at 3 a.m., being at the parade ground at 4 a.m. Well, I have been there. I have done the parade. I came from Nagaland and I was medically written off because I had 2 stress fractures, I told you, in both my legs while doing the parade. Because I would stamp my legs so hard, full of josh and vigor, and I would actually do stamping. So when we have foreign countries, so you can imagine, see, I am with all respect to all the armies of the world, but it's a fact that the most robust army is actually the Indian army, no doubt. But yes, at the same time, that is the reason why when it is very, very impressive to see our parade. And when we see French parade contingent and the Egyptian contingent, we feel very proud. We feel other countries are also respecting our ethos and they are watching or they are marching on the majestic Kartavya Path, going towards Vijay Chowk, and and the entire feeling, the entire feel of the parade, it actually gives everyone goosebumps, literally. I mean, when I see my video of 15 years back when I led the parade, my boys behind me, my goodness, the way we walked, I mean, it still gives us goosebumps. And when we see Egyptian contingent, French contingent, when we see a different country, we have Kadam Kadam Badhaye Ja, Khushi Ke Geet Gaye Ja. Zindagi hai kaum ki, kaum pe lutaye ja. The sense of patriotism. And it really comes into us. It generally comes into us, and every single person over there is flying the Indian national flag in the audience, in the spectators. It's really amazing. It's the best sight one can imagine. And in fact, for that matter, France for that matter, when they actually do their parade, they have this annual parade. All the countries have. They play a lot of Mithun Chakravarti's tunes. In fact, Jimmy, 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 and all in the parade. Imagine those kind of tunes are played by other countries of India. It really, Priyanshi, Divya, I am really, really elated today to celebrate the 74th Republic Day of India.
Right, all those stories really make the wait for the parade even harder as we are waiting for that parade to start at 10:30. Now, as we were discussing, it's a special day for India-Egypt ties, and among the many firsts, it's the Egyptian president who will be the chief guest this year. We'll have El-Sisi, who's been welcomed in the country, and he'll be the chief guest this year. And then also a first, it'll be a combined band and marching contingent of the Egyptian armed forces that will take part in the parade. So, Commodore Uday Bhaskar, if I can come to you on that it's a very special day for India-Egypt ties, and what do these steps, the president being the chief guest and the army contingent of Egypt taking part in the parade, what do these mean for the ties of India with Egypt?
First of all, I'd like to sort of draw attention to the fact that India makes a very conscious decision in who is invited to be the chief guest at the Republic Day parade. So it's a very complex process which has an element of political signaling, and there is also a kind of diplomatic underpinning to who is the chief guest at the Indian Republic Day parade. And as you have pointed out, we have had a very rich tradition of global leaders being invited to be part of the Indian Republic Day celebrations. We had a gap for 2 years because of COVID. And the fact that the Egyptian president is the chief guest today, Mr. Al-Sisi, the Honorable Mr. Al-Sisi, has a lot of symbolism because this is the first time that an Egyptian leader is being invited to the parade. And as my colleague Major Shah pointed out, India and Egypt have a very strong traditional relationship that goes back to the 60s, when then President Abdul Fattah Nasser in Egypt and Prime Minister Nehru were the co-founders of what is then called as the non-aligned movement. This was 1961.
Right.
From then to now, the India-Egypt bilateral has been a stable relationship, but it has been relatively dormant. And to the credit of Prime Minister Modi, both in Modi 1.0 in the first term and in Modi 2.0, there has been a conscious, I would say, outreach to West Asia and North Africa. And in that region, what the Indian NEA refers to as WANA, Egypt is a very, very important player, a regional heavyweight. It is an Arab state with the largest population, almost 110 million. It has a per capita income of almost $4,000. And the leadership, both in Africa and in the Arab world, has often been accorded to Cairo. So in that sense, I think this is a very important move for India when there is the equivalent of a considerable amount of flux in terms of the relationship between the major powers and India's own attempt to establish its credibility.
Absolutely,
so by inviting Egypt...
So we will continue this discussion on the other side of a very short break. I'm sure that we will be back with a whole lot more, but for now we need to slip into a short break.